Darth Vader is one of the most iconic characters of both film as well as action figures. As one of the most influential villains in the history of cinema, it is no surprise that the fallen Jedi turned Sith Lord has had a slew of action figures made in his likeness. Out of all that plastic goodness though, which figures stand the test of time and prove to be the most important in developing his action figure legacy? Today we journey through the dark side and uncover the top 10 most influential Darth Vader figures ever created. And as Vader himself said,
"We would be honored if you would join us."
What's up everybody? My name is Matt, sometimes called Big Nerdy. Together we are the NWO, the Nerd World Order, and this is Nerdzoic! If it's your first time here, just a quick recap. I'm a middle-aged nerd who has been collecting toys for like 2.5 decades. On this channel, we pull back the curtain on the fandoms we love with a really heavy emphasis on the toys that represent them. Now, others have done the best Darth Vader figures. We've seen it before, and frankly, they've done it really well. And honestly, if we just did the 10 best, we'd probably just be looking at the 10 most recent, because each time they make a new Vader figure, generally, it gets a little bit better. So without further ado, let's head to number 10. Coming in at number 10 is the Power of the Force 2 Comtech Darth Vader. This came out in 1999, it was originally $6, and now, thanks to crazy value increasing, it costs $7. Why is this one important? Why did this one make the list? Couple reasons. One, this is the first time we got a soft goods cape on a Darth Vader figure, and you guys know I mark out for the soft goods. This is also the first time we ever got the ITO interrogator droid, which has only been done a couple of times in this scale. This is also the first basic Vader figure without a lightsaber, which is kinda odd. Instead, they just built the hilt right onto his belt and sculpted it there. Kinda sucked. I know it's probably really hard to believe now, but back in the late 90s, there was a time that this wave of figures was actually difficult to find. Whether it's this Vader, whether it's Leia with the holographic R2, or the, I believe it was Fan Club bartender, what is it, Warer, something Warer? But yeah, this one required a lot of chasing. Coming in at number 9 is the Black Series 40th Anniversary A New Hope Darth Vader. This is a newer figure, it came out in 2020, originally $20 like it used to be. Now it's going for $58, hoo-ah! Hoo-ah! Pacino does that better. But anyway, this is not the first 6-inch Vader, so you might be like, hey, why is this one so important? Because the first 6-inch Vader kind of sucked. This should have been the first 6-inch Vader. There was a huge improvement from the original with the blue box to this one. I think Robo over on the Fwoosh even called this the Sad Walrus Vader, which is probably the best. Before this figure came out, Hasbro actually put out some news about this, behind the scenes type stuff, because they were really proud of this, and they should have been. This is a brand new sculpt. They even used movie stills to get the exact A New Hope likeness, and if you didn't know, his likeness actually changed ever so slightly between the 3 original trilogy movies. This figure even got the red hue in his eyes just right. Now, there have been a lot of Vaders made since then. The Galaxy version improved on this ever so slightly, and then was reused in the Kenobi release. By the time this video comes out, newly released, Vader on the 40th Anniversary Return of the Jedi card has a removable helmet. Will that become the new standard bearer? Coming in at number 8 is the original Darth Vader. Released in 1978 for $2. It's currently gonna cost you close to $2,000. This one is a gimme, right? Like, this obviously was gonna be on the list. This is part of the original 12 figures for Star Wars that completely upended the action figure industry, but it was not part of the early bird 4-pack. This was originally released with a double telescoping lightsaber that was the original version, but it was super fragile. So a running change was made, meaning that the original version with the double telescoping lightsaber is super rare. Even once they fixed the lightsaber, it wasn't the only fragile piece here. It also had a really flimsy neck that led to many a headless Vader. Coming in at number 7 is the Hot Toys Empire Strikes Back Vader. This came out in 2015, originally went for $300, which you can still pick it up for about today on eBay. This was, at the time, the best 1/6 scale version of Darth Vader ever made. Up to this point, Hasbro was still doing the Action Collection, which was their 12-inch figures, which I actually collected back in the day. But the Action Collection, obviously at a $20 price point, held absolutely no candles at all to the Hot Toy. This is incredibly accurate to Empire Strikes Back. Right down to the rear shot of Vader with his helmet off, and you can see the scar back there when he's in his meditation chamber, which I love the fact that in Kenobi we finally got that explained, because that always bothered me. I was always like, okay, okay, Revenge of the Sith, why don't we see him getting a cut on his head? Then finally in Kenobi, we got it. This version also comes on the Cloud City diorama base, which you know I'm a sucker for. This is true 1/6 scale at 13.77 inches. No, not 12 inches, because Vader's big, he's tall, guys. And while this is considered the best 1/6 Vader to date, there is a Return of the Jedi Vader coming in 2024. And by the looks of the pictures, this might change the game again. And it's actually probably going to be the first time I ever pre-order a Hot Toys figure for myself. Coming in at number 6 is the Power of the Force 2 orange carded Darth Vader. This came out in '95 for $5. It's currently going for a whopping $12. You might be asking yourself, why is this Vader important? Okay, we just got the bodybuilder Vader look. What's the point here? Well, it's the first time we ever got a Darth Vader figure without just 5 points of articulation. There's 2 versions of this Vader. There's the original with the long saber, then there's the more accurate short saber, because the long saber looks more like he's about to joust the Hound on Game of Thrones. Now this jacked up look that Vader has is a big part of the first few years of modern Star Wars back in 1995. I don't know, maybe this is where all the steroids went after they left WWF in 1994. Maybe they went over to Kenner and they jacked up the figures. Coming in at number 5 is the 30th anniversary wave 𝐒𝐞𝐝𝐢𝐚 concept figure. This came out in 2007, back when the figures were $7, and it's currently going for about $13.50. Which is a shame, because I was hoping it was just $3.50. Go back for about $3.50. I need about $3.50. As I said, this is part of the 30th anniversary line, which came with a coin, which I thought was kind of stupid, but this was one of my favorite eras of 3.75-inch collecting. I was actually kind of like in a dip here where I wasn't collecting for a few years, and then I got in a little bit here before I came back all in with the Black Series. This was the first time we ever got a concept version of Darth Vader. It came with 2 different heads, which represent the 2 primary versions of Ralph McQuarrie's Vader designs. Aside from the expanded universe figures we got for Knights of the Old Republic, the McQuarrie concept figures were probably my favorite part of this 2007 line. I even have most of them in my collection boxed away somewhere. Ironically, despite being near perfect, this figure gets a lot of hate because it's got everything done right except swivel elbows, no joints. Coming in at number 4 is the Power of the Jedi Cave of Evil Darth Vader. This came out in 2001, $7, $11 now. What makes this Vader unique? It's the first time we ever got Luke under the mask. This one might be influenced by me a little bit because this is from my golden age of collecting. Power of the Jedi, I collected anything in that packaging, so that's one reason I might have influenced this pick a little bit, but also it's from one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. It was so metaphorical, man. This was not exactly a do-it-all Vader figure because it had a translucence to it, and you couldn't really make anything with it other than like the diorama of the cave, which I'm not sure anybody set up anyway. And despite it being a bit of a one-trick pony as a figure, it didn't stop Hasbro from making it a couple more times, once in the 3.75-inch Black Series line, and again in the Cave of Evil 3-pack for the Vintage Collection. Coming in at number 3, we go back to the Power of the Force 2, this time with the Freeze Frame Series Return of the Jedi Darth Vader. This came out in '97, $5, going for $10 now. There was a lot of hype when this came out because it's the first time we ever got a removable helmet Darth Vader. This one I think people felt even then is like a huge change. We go from 5 POA jacked up action figure to removable helmet adult collectible. Part of the modernization here included wrist articulation, so you could actually get them in more than one battle pose. So it's not just, you could also go or lots of options. This is also one of the very few Sebastian Shaw heads because we now get Hayden under all the masks, which I do not love. Let's go to number 2 because this is probably where the conversation's gonna get a bit ugly. Coming in at number 2 is the Mafex number 46 Darth Vader. Released in 2017, this originally went for about $65. You can pick it up now for about $90 to $100, but it is getting re-released at the $90 to $100 price point. This is considered by many to be the absolute best 6-inch Darth Vader. Not to be confused with the Black Series, which is like the best 6-inch budget Darth Vader. But this is just the best of the best in that scale. But some would argue that that distinction belongs to the Figure Arts version. More on that in a moment. For me, what makes this the best is the body proportions. We don't got skinny mini Vader. He's bulky, but he's not muscular. He's thick. He's like the Kyle Schwarber version of Darth Vader. He's also got a great sheen on his outfit that's not plastic or not leather. It's just Darth Vader-y, and I just love it. However, the unmasked head could be better. As I had said, they are re-releasing this before the end of the year. They're calling it 1.5 5, but I don't know. Like, it's murky. The pictures look great, not out yet. We'll find out when it comes out. Now back to Bandai. For all of you who are writing your angry comments right now about how the SH Figuarts is better, here's the thing. Rubber skirt, weird torso gap, the snout's too big. Nah, I don't love it, but I gotta say, the Kenobi series is bringing us a new Figuarts Vader. It is the Kenobi version. Admittedly, it looks insane. It has a very, 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 very strong chance of overtaking the Mafex as the best 6-inch Darth Vader, but only time will tell. At this point, you're probably wondering, what's number 1? I thought it was going to be something from one of the imports. You'd be wrong, folks. Let's go to number 1. At number 1, we have the Vintage Collection Dark Times Darth Vader, released just last year in 2022. Originally $16, whatever it is for a Vintage Collection figure today. It's currently going for less than retail at $10 though. This is widely considered by pretty much everyone, including me, to be the best 3.75-inch Darth Vader figure ever made. Hands down, period, end of sentence, put a stamp on it, end of the story, okay? There was a lot who thought that the Return of the Jedi figure that just came out with the removable helmet would overtake it, but there is a visible gap where the collar meets the neck, so this one is still better. Will they ever make a better version of Vader than this in this scale? Honestly, I don't think they will unless they can figure out a way to engineer a slightly better look of the removable helmet. But with that said, without the removable helmet, this one is pretty close to perfect. Putting this video together made me super nostalgic for when I got into toy collecting and my whole beginnings of collecting that Power of the Force stuff and Power of the Jedi, of course. And if you want to hear my full origin story with this stuff, check out this video. Yeah, and remember, you gotta get old, but you don't have to grow up. Just be cool and stay nerdy. Later.